LaRuby May. We have the honor of bringing a class action lawsuit against the Orange County Unified School District for the disproportionate expulsion and suspensions of black and brown students. We know that it's a persistent problem, this implicit bias and discrimination in society, but it especially hits close to home when it's our children being impacted by it. To give you more details are my great co-counsels, Attorney Je Yon.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Oh, yes, you guys will.
Say your name by the study.
Good afternoon. My name is Je Yon Jung, and I'm with the law firm of May Jung. J-U-N-G is the last name, J-E space Y-O-N. Today, we filed a class action lawsuit in the United States District Court for the Central District of California on behalf of an individual as well as all of similarly situated children in the Orange Unified School District. And among the 18 claims of causes of action that we have filed, it includes violations of constitutional and state statutory violations. These include discrimination, that children in Orange Unified are 2 to 3 times more likely, if you are black or brown, to be suspended and disciplined than their white counterparts. The probability of this occurrence happening by chance is less than 1 in a million. And we also have included violations of procedural and due process. When you have today, Juneteenth, when you have children, black and brown children that continue to be abused by the educational system, this is what we're here for, and we need accountability by the school district.
My name is LaRuby May. I'm also with May Jung. Proud here to be with my partner and my brother, my friend, Attorney Ben Crump. And when we look at the actions of the Orange Unified School District, their mission states that they are supposed to cultivate and encourage and build a generation of leaders. And the only thing that they're doing is building a pipeline to prison by taking our children and labeling them as sexual harassers or deviants while they're in high school without due process. And today, on Juneteenth, as we think about the freedom of our black people and our history, we're going to continue to fight for the freedom and the justice for black and brown children in Orange County.
And when you read this complaint before we have a community activist, affectionately known as Sticks here in Los Angeles, who know about these issues all too well, I would just say what is really the crux of the matter here is they're trying to assassinate the character of our children and make them into juvenile delinquents so they can, as Attorney May said, go straight from the school to the prison pipeline. And you see that by them calling little boys who kiss a little girl not because she's objecting or anything like that, and we talk about a peck on the lips, and they now label him a sexual predator. I mean, these are the kind of dynamics we're having to fight from kids being kids. And so let it be clear that just like other people fight for their children to have an equal opportunity as the American dream, this lawsuit is about fighting for our children to have an equal opportunity at the American dream. So the last person you will hear from is my brother. He's an activist who's on the front line fighting for all of our children, but especially marginalized young people of color. Sticks.
Absolutely. My name is Sticks, founder of Think Watch Foundation, and it's plain and simple. They want to give out consequences instead of creating community. What we need to do is focus on why there's low chronic absenteeism. Focus on why there is a lack of student engagement, parent engagement. Focus on why test scores are low, because there is no emphasis and care on the children who need help the most. But this is systemic. This is done intentionally. I work with districts all over the nation, LA Unified, New York School District, all over the nation, and we force these programs to focus on marginalized communities and kids from these communities because they have the lack thereof. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with this lawsuit, force the hand of these school districts to focus on all of these issues that plague our people. We're going to implement the necessary programming, the necessary incentives. We're going to make sure that these school districts who waste billions of dollars every single year not going to our people, we're going to make sure it gets into the hands of our people so they can have the programming and resources and opportunities they need to excel like all of the other kids and students that don't look like them. But it starts today and it starts here.
I don't know much about Orange County.
Can I also say one more thing, that this is the same, oh, sorry.
1 second.
This is the
One
same.
second. This one. Go ahead.
This is the same school district that has a board, a school board that has come in banning books and getting rid of this so-called critical race theory. So this is what's happening in Orange Unified School District. And when you look at the disciplinary system that they are imposing, and to ensure that the black and brown children are being disciplined in the way that they are at 2 to 3 times the rate of the white counterparts. This is an epidemic in our country, and this is something that we need to start with here, and we need to spread across the country.
But what are the numbers? Do you have a percentage of numbers from white kids versus students of color?
So when you look at 2 to 3 times the rate, we're talking about standard deviations of 5 to 10 times standard deviation. And if you talk to any statistician, they will tell you that the probability of those disparities occurring by chance are 1 in a million or more, right? At least that. So when you look at that, it doesn't matter necessarily how many numbers you have. If you have those disparities at those standard deviations, there's something wrong. And the fact that in addition, this lawsuit alleges that there are secret meetings and secret policies and procedures that are not written down. And when you see the disparities with non-English speaking Hispanic Latinx children, black children who don't have the parents who will necessarily fight, like we are here to make sure that we don't just accept the status quo. That's what you're looking at, and that's why we filed this lawsuit as a class action.
What kind of disciplinary action are some of these students of color experiencing? Expulsions, suspensions? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Some of the disciplinary actions include suspensions and expulsions, including a process called the Student Success Panel, where there is nothing written about it on the website, on the California website, or the OUSD website. There's no policies or procedures related to this. In fact, you don't know which children get sent to this panel to be expelled from their schools and which don't. And the reason why is because you have a rate that's above 2 to 3 times. They have not given us all the data, but the data we do have, it shows already that there are these extreme disparities.
Who's comprised of this panel?
Well, interesting, the panel changes with every panel hearing. And these are different administrators throughout the different 5 or 6 school districts, through the 5 or 6 high schools within the school district. And they come in, there was nothing in writing, no policies or procedures, and in fact, their determinations to this date have not been provided in writing. And when you talk about the retaliatory nature of anyone who tries to take an appeal in this case, which is what happened in this case, then you will have escalation of discipline, escalation of the manner in which they impose the discipline. And that is what happened here. There are no policies or procedures. If you are black or brown and you are going to school, you are supposed to be educated and you're supposed to be nurtured to be participants in our society. But instead what they do is they take advantage of a lot of these black and brown children who don't know that don't know their rights. They keep them in rooms, they interrogate them, and they charge them with violations of very adult nature. In this very legitimate Me Too movement, they tried to find a 14-year-old boy that they could oppose the Harvey Weinstein narrative on. And this is what happens in our school districts across the country every day. So parents, know what's happening to your children at school, because it's happening everywhere.
How did you become aware of this?
Pardon?
How did you become aware?
We become aware because we're in the community. We know individuals that this has happened to. We are trying to ensure that the children are protected because they are young. They are 14, 15 years old.
I will say this.
1 second, sir.
And how do we know? Because parents who have nowhere else to turn to us to try to give them a voice against a system that tries to silence them when they try to speak up that you're being unfair to our children. And so that's why it was so important with Attorney Je Young as well as Attorney May that we filed this class action lawsuit to get their attention, because they're not listening to the marginalized black and brown parents in the community. And that's why in America, when you feel that you have been wronged, then you have a right to take that controversy into a court of law. And we're proud that these families are saying, we too want our children to have an opportunity at the American dream. And we know without a quality education in America in 2023, it's like you're already in the jail cell. They just haven't slammed the jail cell door.
Is there one particular high school area in Orange County that's more prevalent than the others?
I will tell you that
Sorry, one second. Sorry, guys.
Nope, that's fine.
One second.
there are 5 high schools within Orange Unified, and this is an issue. When we look at the data, it's actually an issue throughout all of the high schools. But in particular, there are 2 high schools that are predominantly white, where this issue is an epidemic. And this is at Canyon High School and Villa Park High School. And when you look at the data that we have, when these students are expelled or sent to another school, they are sent to alternative schools. And these alternative schools are 70-80% students of color. So it is a way to get rid of your schools, a way to get rid of black and brown kids in your schools and to send them somewhere else instead of giving them the same education that you give their white counterparts.
So they're practicing segregation.
De facto segregation is still alive and well. And when we talk about systemic discrimination, and we talk about today being Juneteenth, there are still inherent structures within our system that treat our black and brown children as less than. And this is one of the many ways when you think that our education system is where we are supposed to nurture and teach our children how to grow up to be adults in our society. But yet these are children, these are minors that are being treated by our racist system and our unfair system because they are black or brown.
So at these schools, don't they have like a code of conduct that all of the students have to sign with all of these issues that you're bringing up?
In every school there's a handbook. In every school there are certain rules and things that they expect the children to live by. But those very rules are not followed by the adults who enforce them. You're supposed to be fair. You're supposed to recognize constitutional rights. You're supposed to ensure that children don't get taken advantage of because their parents are not there with them or because they don't know what their rights are. Because you have people in positions of power abusing their power with these children. So yes, there are handbooks and there are rules, but we are finding that those rules only apply to some and not to everyone.
So then whose high schools were? Sorry, I kind of.
Sure, the 2 high schools that were at our particular attention because of the disparities in the statistics are Villa Park High School and Canyon High School. But if you look at Orange Unified School District across the board, this is an issue. And Orange Unified is just south of Los Angeles County. The school board at Orange Unified, if you look it up, there's quite some controversy over what happened over December. The school board, the majority came in under Trump-type policies and platforms and campaigns to get rid of critical race theory, to ban books, and that is happening. And this is the same school district where this is happening.
So what are the situations that these affected students and parents have been telling you?
What we're hearing is that children don't know what's happening. They don't know the processes and policies to prevent what's happening to them. You have many Spanish-speaking parents who don't know where to go. You have a lot of black students whose parents don't know that they can fight it, that what's being subjected to them is not fair. And they can't look behind the curtain, ask for the data, and ask for little Johnny who had the same situation happen to him, but yet he wasn't suspended. He wasn't expelled. He wasn't subjected to interrogation. That's the problem that we have, is that we have to wait to have a lawsuit in order to find out exactly the abuses that are happening within the walls of our classrooms.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Crump,
much.
do you have any closing remarks?
It's appalling that the Orange County Unified School District will engage in the intellectual justification of discrimination. It is de facto segregation. It's a battle that we have long fought to give all of our children an equal opportunity and a quality education. Is that so much to ask? It shouldn't be we have to go in, file a class action lawsuit in federal court just for you to treat our children as if they matter.
Thank you very much.
You gotta make it.
But they get mad when they don't go to school, when you don't want them to go to that bullshit though. You feel me?